Hey guys, I'm Alex Pierce from Lightsail VR. In this video, I'm going to be giving you a tutorial on how to do image-based lighting with Assimilate Live FX and Quasar Science. We're going to go over how to program the fixtures themselves, what profile you need to be on, how many pixels you need to have, all that sort of stuff. We're also going to be looking at Assimilate Live FX, how to set up the fixtures correctly in the software. We'll be looking at some of the features of the software. So first, I want to just jump in and talk about what this stage is and what's going on. So behind me you see we have an LED wall that's being driven by Live FX on the PC over here. And then the lights are all actually be driven from a separate machine on my MacBook Pro. This is being done wirelessly, so I can control that and walk around the stage and just dial in the lights as needed. That's a kind of a different setup here, but it's how I have it set up right now. So right here you can see this is actually a lighting fixture. There's 47 tubes, the Quasar Science 8-foot tubes here. You can see at the ceiling here, the overheads, we also have 8-foot tubes. On the right side you can also see a little bit more over there, and there is another fixture over here, which is the double rainbow 4-foot tubes right there. So you can see if I just keep pointing here, you can see I can actually change this to be pixel mapped somewhere else, and we're going to look at that in the software as well. And I can change the master brightness. I can also change these individually, of course, so I can make this just this fixture brighter or darker. I can change this to be a solid color if I want. I can change that to be a different color. There's a lot of things that we can do in Live FX, and we'll talk a little bit about those as we go along. But I wanted you to be somewhat aware of what this space looks like. Okay, once you have your light plugged in, go ahead and power it on. If it's not on already, you can press and hold down the power button here. Now, if you press the power button and release, it's going to give you some more information. So this shows us some information on the color temperature and the spectrum. If I press it one more time, you can see DMX is inactive. If I press it again, you get a lot of information like firmware, etc. And I'm just going to cycle through here back to manual. And if you click this button here, it'll turn off the light without powering it down. I'll go ahead and keep that on for now. And then these buttons down here, if you click the middle one is to select, and the right and left one is to go through the menu. So if I go over here to intensity and I press this middle button, it goes down to the intensity. Then I can click and hold to bring the intensity up or bring it down. So that we're going to go through the menu and change some settings here. So press this one more time in the middle, and we're going to change this over. You can see color temperature, plus minus green, saturation, hue, etc. We're going to go to the config menu and press the middle button. DMX channel 1, that's good. We're going to go over to number of pixels. You want this to be the highest number, so no matter which fixture you're using, just use the highest number, and you may need to remember this number later. I'm going to go ahead and go to the next one. Profile, this is very important. So the profile, you need to switch this to profile 64. And that's going to be important for a few reasons. And let's go ahead and click enter. Wired settings, let's go into the wired settings menu, press the middle button. Wired mode should be SACN. So press enter to accept. Blinks, that means it's going to take it a minute for it to register this setting. DMX settings, let's go inside DMX settings. Channel should be 1. Terminated should be off. Okay, back. Now we're going to go over to the Ethernet settings. Multicast should be enabled. And the universe, this is very important. So right now we're just dealing with this one fixture. Universe 1 is fine. When we're dealing with an array of fixtures, you want to number them in this very specific way. You might want to put tape and remind yourself which universe you set them to. But let's say you have 47 fixtures. The first fixture, in my case, let's say it's the top fixture, is going to be universe 1. The next fixture down will be universe 2. The next fixture will be universe 3, etc. So that's going to be very important that we make sure we set that up properly on the fixture before we get into Live FX. Let's go back and back. So those are the main settings we want to set. You can have wireless mode, you can set that to off. Lead follow should be off. And all of the rest of these should be fine. You do want to make sure you're using the latest firmware. And from this menu, you can see which DMX channel it is, how many pixels, which profile it's on. And if you press the power button twice, once, twice, you can actually see which universe is right here. So we can see the multicast is enabled, universe 1 is this fixture. So you don't have to go through the whole menu to see which universe you're on. You can just press the power button, get to this menu, and see which universe you're on here. Okay, so this array that we have here is made up of 47 fixtures. So again, if I press the power button, I can see some information here. You can see that these fixtures are actually 48 pixels, and you can see that the profile is set to 64, and you can see DMX is 1 and SACN is on. That's all great. If I press it again, and then one more time, here I can see this is universe 30. If I cycle through all the rest of these, I'll find that these are in the correct order as well. I set these up, so this is 29, 30, this would be 28, 27, 26, 25, etc. Now let's go look at that in the software, Live FX. Okay, I've created a blank project here, and you can see if we go into the Stage Lights tab, you can see that we have no lighting fixtures over here on the left. And let's go ahead and set this up. So the first thing we need to do before we even add a fixture is we want to go to protocols and we want to set up our SACN. So I'm connected to the same network through Wi-Fi, and I'm going to go to on to enable multicast, and you're going to have to choose whichever network you're on. For me, it's just this one. The universe range depends on how many universes you're using. In my case, I'm actually using quite a bit, so I'm going to go 1 to 200. Priority by default is 100. This can stay that. Signal delay you don't have to worry about. Partial universe you don't have to worry about right now. So now that that is set up, let's go over to fixture and let's add a new fixture. You can do video fixture or GDTFs or open fixture library. We're going to do this from scratch, so I'm going to create a new fixture, and I'm going to call this 848. There's 48 8-foot tubes over there, so that's why I named it that. And there's a few things we have to set up here. First thing to know is I'm using universes 1 through 47 on that array. There's 47 tubes in that array actually. So the 8-foot tubes have 48 pixels. So the repeat in universe is going to be 48. The universe start number here depends on how you've set yours up. I've set mine up to be there's 47 tubes. So I'm going to do 1 through 47. So the starting universe is 1. And then to set up profile 64 for the Quasar Science fixtures, channels should be 12, globals should be 6, and then repeat the universe for as many fixtures as you have. So in my case, there are 47 fixtures, so I'm going to repeat that 47 times. Now on top of that, what I need to do is go to the color sampling tab, and instead of duplicate, we're going to go to distribute, and segments should equal the number of fixtures. So I'm going to do 47 fixtures. And I'm going to go ahead and drag this out for a second. And now let's go back to fixture patching. Okay, so let's go ahead and map this fixture. So the first value is going to be red. Channel 1 is red. And then it goes fine value, green, 4 is fine value, 5 is blue, 6 is fine value. And if you can see that, it does not look correct. If I'm dragging over these colors, this should be, teal, green, purple, and they look more like yellow, orange, purple. So what's going on? So the next is these global parameters. And not all fixtures have these, but the Quasar Science do, and I'll go over them right now. Channel 7 is CCT. And we're going to put 147, which is right in the middle. So now that looks correct. And you can change this. If you go higher, it will be higher CCT value, and lower will be lower CCT. But let's put the default at 147. The next one is plus minus green. The next one is spectrum. So channel 9 should be 255 for full spectrum. The next one is color space. The next one is output. And the last one is just reserved. So now these are all set up. We can see they're set up over there correctly. And now what we can do is we can go into the color sampling and we can change things here. Depending on how your fixtures are set up, you might need to rotate these. I'm going to go to the mixer and I'm just going to lower the intensity of this so it's not so bright. And now we can use this mixer, or we can go to fixture and change the gradient animation here, the color sampling. There are some of these things that you can change in different areas, but let's just go through some of these. So fixed color is pretty obvious what that is. That is a fixed color, and you can change the color. And if it looks like you can't change it here, you might need to increase the saturation, which is the slider here. You can also pick a color. So pick purple, and now it'll change to that purple. You can go to gradient animation. You can change some of these values, but only if you're not using fixed sample. So if we come back over here to gradient animation, now we can individually change these values. So we can increase the saturation, the lightness, etc. So I'm just going to reset these for now, and we'll go back to the mixer. And this is basically a similar way to navigate and change all of these controls in a much more user-friendly way, especially when you have several different lights. So we can do A for active. So if you disable this, it will not continue to sample. S for solo, F for fixed color, just like we saw. If you click on the color, you can change that color. And then if fixed color is not selected and you click on this color, it will give you access to grade and change the fixture itself. And then lastly is the global parameters. You can see now that I have entered in these names, we get CCT, plus minus green, spectrum, color space, output, and reserved. So I can now just with a slider change the color temperature, etc. Okay, that's going to wrap up this video. Hopefully this was a really helpful tutorial for you. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.